Hey, sports fans, this is Robert with WTP Sports Dudes here live on this Saturday morning, ready to talk about some of that fantastic NBA playoffs. We also got some NFL news that's out there in the rumor mill. And let's talk a little bit of college football, some questions and answers. We got to get the thoughts of the men that are on the panel today. I'm here this morning with my man Post Game of the Post Game Sports. How you feeling post game?
Man, I feel wonderful, Rob, man. It's always a great time when we get together, and I'm ready to get it. Good morning, fellas.
Morning, good morning. We also got our man One Take Zaya in the building with us. How you feeling, One Take?
I'm good, man. It's good to see y'all this Saturday morning, man. It's cold out here, man. I don't know what they got going on. The weather need to crack, though, man.
Yeah, it needs to do something, man. It's May here in Columbus, Ohio, and it is still way too cold. I know it's spring and it's not summer, but listen, man, give me at least 70. Give me at least 70.
Hey, they say this is one of the coldest starts in April and May. It's one of the coldest starts.
Oh yeah, I can dig it. I can dig it because listen, this weather, man, is keeping a lot of people under the weather.
Yeah, they got I'm up here at the pre-K event. It's up here at Fort Hayes. They can come up here, register, get their babies into pre-Ks and head starts. So, hopefully it's a good turnout because, people don't like the cold weather, bro. They really don't.
Yeah, they don't like the cold weather, that's for sure. Let's get into some of this NBA action, man. We know that there's been some elimination games that took place. There's some games that's going into 7 games. And let's talk a little bit about these Denver Nuggets. What moves should the Denver Nuggets consider this offseason after being eliminated from the playoffs in the first round?
Yeah, that's a good question, Rob. I don't really know if they can make too many moves to improve this roster. The core is there when you talk about Jokic, Murray, Christian Brown. I like those guys. That's a nice core to have. I don't know if it was just the fact that they ran into a team like Minnesota, which they should have beat Minnesota without the players that Minnesota had available. So I don't know, man. I don't know if it's coaching. I don't know. Like I said, I like their core. Maybe you ship Johnson off and see what you can get for him, but I like this Denver Nugget core. They underperformed this season, and it's really sad because I think they could have gave the Spurs a run for their money. Seeing as though how their roster is constructed. But that's a good question. I'm not sure what moves they can make. I mean, Cam Johnson may be a guy on the chopping block, but I like this core, man. They just didn't get the job done.
Yeah, I think you just got to find defenders. I think McDaniels called them out, and I feel like it was a lot of stuff that was exposed. Um, Defense, bro. They need defense. I can't identify specifically a certain person, but we seen like people was just they was just Minnesota was just going at them, and that's just deep defenders. You gotta get better defenders around Jokic and Jamal Murray. Um, and Post said Cam Johnson. I thought he was supposed to be a 3-and-D guy originally. So I don't know. Like I think they just probably really underperform. But it's a thing too, though. Matchups is a real thing, and the last few years, Denver has been struggling with Minnesota. So maybe it's just a bad matchup. But at the end of the day, if you want to be the top dog in the West, you got to be a well-rounded team like OKC and the Spurs ultimately to get to the goal. So, but definitely defenders. They need defenders.
Yeah, now that you say that, I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing them put a guy who can, enforce the paint, block shots, rebound around Jokic. If they can find a guy like that, I think that would do tremendous for that team.
Yeah, do y'all think they will consider getting rid of one of their better players to probably get a guy like that?
I wouldn't. Not. I wouldn't. I like their nucleus. I like Jokic. I like Murray. The main problem is health, really, because Gordon wasn't there. If Gordon, I don't know what they can do to improve his health. Maybe go vegan. Who knows? Maybe change the training staff. Who knows? But if they had Gordon, I definitely think they would have been in a better position to win. They should have won the series.
Yeah,
What you think?
I ain't got nothing to add to that. I think you hit it on the head right there.
Yeah. So the Eastern Conference got three games that are going to game sevens. What's your thoughts on that? And which one of these teams do you think will prevail in that game seven? Out of those three games, who's going to win it and win game seven?
Yeah,
Uh,
go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm going to take Boston. Rob, yo 76ers been playing out of their minds. Salute to them, but I just think Boston got the best 1-2 punch in the NBA, and they ultimately are going to win this series. I don't. I thought they could have a chance to sweep y'all, but obviously that's not going to happen. But I like Boston to get the job done and move on in the East. Uh, the Knicks, I like the Knicks to move on, and I like the Cleveland Cavaliers to move on.
Yeah, I like Philly, man. I think Philly, they got the best player on the court. I feel like when you got the best player on the court, you always got a chance. I don't think Boston has no answer for Joel Embiid. Even last game, he had 19 and 17. That's damn near a 2020 game. Uh, and Tyrese Maxey had an explosive game, but Joel Embiid is the key. So they just ain't got nobody for him, man. So I don't think Boston. If they ain't hitting their threes for real, and Derek White been playing terrible, you need them complementary players to play well. Now, I mean, Boston is Boston, though. They could turn around and have a good game and go crazy. But right now, I feel like Philly is going into this game ultra confident. I feel like they won that game without Embiid, and that really set them up to be in this position right now to even make this game seven. Because if they didn't get one of them games without Embiid, they wouldn't even be here right now. So, and then the Raptors, Cleveland. I'm going Raptors, man. Listen, Donovan Mitchell, he's the best two guard in the game, in my opinion. But it's something just not right with that team that don't sit right with me for that team for real. And I can't really put my hand on it. And I just think them young boys, they ain't got no answer. I don't know where Evan Mobley at. Why is Scotty Barnes out here looking like he's one of the better players in the NBA? Like, where's Evan Mobley at? We need to put an APB out on him on the defensive end because Scotty Barnes should not be doing what he's doing in this playoff series. And then who was the other matchup? Oh, Magic and the Pistons. Yeah, the Magic got their heart took from that. Going 1 for 20 in the fourth quarter. Yeah, I don't see no way. That was their chance right there to win that series. They blew it. It's over. Pistons gonna come back and ultimately they were down 3-1. Ultimately win this series. I got the Pistons in the other game.
Yeah, I think I got to go with my Philadelphia 76ers because I'm a 76ers fan, but it's going to be tough on them. They're in Boston for game seven, going against that two-headed monster. You expect Boston to prevail, but I'm going with my 76ers in that game because I do believe that Joel Embiid is the best player on the court at the end of the day, and they don't have any answer for him right now. So I'm going to go with my 76ers on that one. Cleveland, man, I think Cleveland's best chance to go ahead and end this series was yesterday, and they did not do it. I'm going to pick Toronto to win that. Plus, like I told y'all on Thursday, I don't want to see Cleveland ever be good when LeBron James is not there. I want my GOAT to always have that claim to fame that Cleveland did good because LBJ was in the building. And I'm going with Detroit. I feel like Orlando, you blew it, man. You had an opportunity to seal the deal early in this series, and you did not do it. You allowed the Detroit Pistons, who has really been one of the best teams in the league all season behind OKC, that you allowed them back in it. So I think they're going to end your dreams here in game 7. So I'm taking Detroit, I'm taking Toronto, and I'm taking the Philadelphia 76ers. Our man SEC Sean got Boston, Cleveland, and Detroit. What's happening, SEC Sean? Good to see you in the chat with us today. We waiting to see you on screen too, brother. Let's look at our next question. The Los Angeles Lakers eliminated the Houston Rockets yesterday. They will face OKC now. How do you think the Lakers will fare against OKC?
Yeah, this is a tough matchup for the Lakers. I think this is a very bad matchup for the Lakers for the simple point that OKC is probably the deepest team in the NBA, and they can throw so many different defenders. Even if they had a Luka Doncic, they could throw so many different defenders at them. Their pace of play, their depth. I think Shea gets up for Laker games, being that LeBron James is on the team. So this is a very bad matchup for my Lakers. I just got to keep it funky. Of course, I want the Lakers to win. I want the Lakers to win the championship. I don't think that's going to happen. I think OKC is going to blow the doors off of the Lakers. I can see them sweeping or gentlemen sweeping.
Yeah, man, we getting swept. I mean, all the writing is on the wall. I don't even think we had one game in the regular season where it was kind of a close game, but really they beat us by like 30, 40 points every game we played them this year. So I just don't see it, especially not being at full strength. Even at full strength, I didn't like our chances. So it's sweet. Gentlemen sweet, like post-game said.
Yeah, I felt like LeBron James was going to get them through this series against the Rockets, but I just can't see it happening against OKC. Like you both said, they're way too deep. They're really a problem for the Lakers, especially without Luka. Is there any chance that Luka will be back? Is there no chance of that?
No, it's a chance. It's a chance he could play. He not gonna start the series though. I think he's already ruled out for game 1.
Yeah, maybe with Luka they could possibly take this game to 6, but I think it'll probably be a gentleman's sweep as well. Let's turn our attentions to the NFL. And I don't know if y'all been paying attention to some of the free agents who didn't get drafted this past draft, but a lot of the free agents, instead of getting 1 and 2 year contracts, have been getting 3-year contracts. Do you think this is a good method for the players or a good method for the owners to have a guy locked up for 3 years who may end up making your team? Because there's some really good free agent players that have been picked up by some teams that could possibly make teams, because we all know that the NFL always is loaded with free agent players on their roster, and you get to lock a guy up for 3 years on that minimum deal. Who does that favor, the players, or does that favor the owners?
100% the owners. Because you got to think, like, if this player underperforms, even though he's a free agent, you want to see him perform, and make a good living in the NFL. But even if he underperforms, or let's say he gets hurt, that favors the ownership. They're not locking that player into a long-term deal, an expensive deal. So at the end of the day, it's good to get signed as a free agent, get your chance to shine, and hopefully they make something of that chance to shine. But all in all, it favors the ownership.
Yeah, these NFL contracts get complex too, though. You could be on a 3-year deal, but what is the guaranteed money in the contract? And then it be language like, all right, if this player is on your roster by June such and such, it's this amount of cap hit. So I think it's really a player by player basis. But we already know if these NFL teams is signing dudes, they gonna make sure it benefit them more than it's gonna benefit the player, especially if it's not a guy that's like gonna absolutely just change the outcome of your team. So we already know how the business side of sports work, man. These owners are looking out for themselves.
Yeah, I agree with you both on that. It's definitely going to benefit the owners. I know as a player, you probably are thinking to yourself, "Oh man, I at least got me a 3 year contract over a 2 year contract." But the reality is, you can still get cut and not make the team. So that 3 year contract is out the window if you don't make that team. Now, if you do make the team, you got an opportunity to maybe do something in year 1 and 2 to maybe sway those owners and say, "Listen, I got to get this guy on a real contract and not this free agent contract." So it could possibly work both ways, but in most situations, once they got you locked into a contract, that's what they want you to have to live out, and that benefits the owners in almost all situations. What do y'all think about this situation with Lamar Jackson possibly playing in Baltimore, maybe one more season and that be it? Do you think that's a good move for Baltimore? And do you think there's some teams out there who need a quarterback possibly next year that could be licking their chops that the Baltimore Ravens might be trying to part ways with Lamar Jackson?
Man, Baltimore will be silly to let Lamar Jackson walk out the door. Hey, quarterbacks do not grow on trees. You think you could just go out there and find a guy to replace a guy like that, but it's not that easy, bro. So if Lamar want to leave, I mean that's on him. But if that's a decision that's made because of the organization want to go on a different route, I wouldn't agree with it.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it would be silly to even think of letting Lamar Jackson get out the door. I mean, it would be a one thing if Lamar Jackson was just a running guy, but Lamar Jackson can actually throw the ball and make throws in the passing game down the field. We'll see how the new coaching staff affects this team. I think they've been just like right there the last few years, outside of last year. You get their star receiver coming out and saying we were practicing in pads every single day of the week. That's a terrible formula for success when you get to the NFL and that level and the physicality of the game. It's no wonder why that whole team was banged up all the time, especially on defense. So I don't think they're going to let Lamar Jackson get out the door. I think he still has at least 3, 4, really good prime years left. Probably won't see him run as much as he used to do, but he definitely, like I said, can make some plays in the passing game. So I'm looking forward to seeing this new coaching staff and how it affects the Baltimore Ravens, and if they can still compete for an NFL title, because that's the ultimate goal, right? That's all Lamar Jackson has left to do, is get that NFL championship.
Yeah, I think it would be a bad move to get rid of Lamar Jackson as well. Let's look at this statement by our man Mick Swagger 4K. He said, "It seems like NFL owners do whatever to keep control and not let it be a players' league like the NBA and Major League Baseball." What are your thoughts on that statement he just made? Does that hold true?
100%. I mean, they're the owners, the NFL owners. That whole machine is never going to let it be a players' league. It's NFL. I remember always hearing the NFL owns a day of the week. Nowadays, it seems like they own a few days of the week, and they venturing over overseas and trying to get buzz there. But the NFL is too much money in the NFL. They're never going to let it be a players' league.
Yeah, I agree. Uh, I at one point I kind of felt like we was itching over to it being a little more pro player with these guaranteed contracts. Deshaun Watson guy, he was the first one to jump it off, but Nah, they know how to reel it back in. I know the whole league was mad at the Browns owner though when that contract came out. They was like, "What are you doing?" You know, because owners do not the majority body they don't want to see that type of stuff because they want to cut ties with you as soon as they can, as soon as you ain't performing. You know, that's all a part of their control. So being able to cut ties with you whenever they feel like it's time to go in another direction. So guaranteed money is not that's not on the docket. You feel me? They hate them guaranteed contracts. That's when you start really getting player empowerment right there when them dollars become guaranteed. Because football is a physical sport. You know, you can go out there one Sunday and it might be your last Sunday. You know, so I agree with his statement though.
Yeah, I mean, I understand how capitalism works, man, and I know that you want to make as much money as possible. But at the end of the day, you would think that at some point the owners would say to themselves, listen, we got all of these fantastic players in the NFL. We got the best league in terms of attendance, in terms of viewership, because of the players. And you would think that they would concede a little bit and allow the Players Association or whatnot to be able to get some more guaranteed contracts, much like we've seen in the NBA and Major League Baseball. And it's sort of sad that they haven't done that yet, man. And it really is not cool at all, man. So I hope that eventually these players understand the kind of power that they do have and sort of start fighting for a little bit more because they definitely deserve a little bit more. But I agree with uh, Mick Swagger, uh, 4K's statement as well.
Well,
Thanks
like
to
you,
our man Level Up Sports 10 for the $2 super chat. We appreciate you, and we love you too, bro. Was you gonna say something else post game?
no, I was just saying, it look like you got some super chats, my man.
Yeah, I'm checking them out right now. We got our man Mossberg of Level Up Sports 10. He's out there at our sponsor, KT's Good Eats, over there at Witten Farm, over there off of Winchester Pike. So if you get a chance to go grab some food at lunch, please go over to Witten's Farm right there where we got our man KT's Good Eats, one of our sponsors for this show today. Go check them out. They got some really, really good food. And we thank you once again, Mossberg, for the super chat. And he's also plugging because he's over there working today. That address is 3341 Winchester Pike. Go over there and get you some KT's Good Eats. My man Kevin Bird, him and his wife, man, they got one fantastic food truck. So go check them out. Let's turn our attention some more to this NFL action, man. What do y'all think about? Um, we got some teams out there in the NFL who possibly could be tanking because of next year's crop of quarterbacks that are coming in. Do you think that is a real thing that might happen this next upcoming NFL season?
I mean, yeah and no. I think, like for instance, I think Pittsburgh. I think they know they probably won't contend in the AFC North. So that'd be a team looking for a franchise quarterback who probably would be drafted in the top 10. Arizona, although I do like that offense at Arizona and the pieces that they have, I think they have some really good pieces. I think that's a team to look at when you talk about getting your franchise quarterback in next season's draft. Uh, who else? Maybe the Jets. The Jets are our team looking for a franchise quarterback. I know they got Geno, who should be solid, but they looking for that franchise guy. So those three teams, I might be missing some, but definitely those three teams are some teams to look at. And I know out of all those teams, I like Arizona's offense the best. You You get a franchise guy to go with the pieces they got in Arizona. Now you cooking with grease.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of the teams that still need a long term solution at quarterback, I don't even think they need to tank. I think they're still going to be bad anyway. So like tanking is like you're purposely trying to lose. I think like Arizona, for instance, I think they're still easily the worst team in that division. You know, so I mean, how many games are these teams going to win? They're going to have top 10 picks, and they'll be able to draft their guys. And moving up ain't if you identify a guy, moving up ain't nothing.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think the Jets. I think the Jets still have 2 first-round picks going into next season. So that would be an interesting team to watch and see if they do exceed expectations and win a few games. How they'll navigate those picks to get their franchise guy.
Yeah, like Pittsburgh is one team too that like I feel like they could be good enough to just like quite be like outside, but they need a quarterback. They need a long term solution. But it just I feel like it ain't in the Pittsburgh blood to just go out there and tank. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and guys, I feel like this class is so loaded at the quarterback position potentially with a lot of guys where you probably won't have to have necessarily a top 5 pick to get a really good franchise quarterback if everybody who can come out comes out in that draft.
Right.
yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I think that there's enough quarterbacks in this draft, and there's only so many teams that are really looking for a franchise quarterback at this point. Um, that I don't think anyone needs to tank in order to get a good quarterback in this next year's draft. So I don't think there will be anybody tanking. They're like one take Zaya said, they're just going to be horrible anyway because they really just don't have all the pieces yet, and really probably a quarterback away from winning 8, 9, 10 games in the season. So hopefully, we don't see anybody out there doing none of that fake stuff like we see in the NBA. Um, let's turn our attentions to
Hold on. Let me
go
say
ahead.
this too, Rob. You
Yeah,
know, and we got to be careful, man. We think this is going to be a deep draft all the way here now in May, but we seen about 4 or 5 dudes that was in this draft this upcoming year that was supposed to be first or second round guys that fell and didn't perform. So we could possibly see that too next year. We don't know yet. You know what I mean? Like Klubnik, Nussmeyer, these dudes, Drew Aller, all these dudes was projected to be high round picks. So we got to see how some of these dudes perform and if they progressing too.
yeah, that is definitely a fact. We got to definitely let them games be played to see how well those players perform in those games, and even see if they even warrant a high draft pick. They might end up playing themselves into a third, fourth round selection. Which I mean, I guess if a team can get somebody there and they can develop them, that might be a good spot to get them, and you don't have to pay a quarterback a whole lot of money.
Yeah, that's
Let's
true.
turn our attentions to some college football things that are out there. And I know we talked a couple of days ago about this 5 year rule and five years to play five, and they haven't made it retroactive. But those players at the NCAA did not grant another year. Could they possibly come back later on before the season starts or during the season and say, listen, we didn't grant this person a 6 year. They're playing. You might have to forfeit games. Can you see a scenario like that? Or do you think the NCAA will pull the trigger early before the season start to let that team know, yeah, this guy is going to be ineligible, and if he plays, you're going to be forfeiting some games.
You got an example of a quarterback in that situation?
Trinidad Chambliss.
Okay, so no, I don't think. I think this would be the last year for that. So I don't think they'll. But moving forward, I don't think they would allow something like that to happen.
Yeah, man, we talk about the NCAA. I don't put nothing past nothing happening in college football regarding these type of things. Indiana, for example, last season they had a defensive back that applied for an extra year. They at the beginning of the year he couldn't play the first 2 or 3 games. Then he got an injunction saying that he was eligible until the court case finally ceased. And then by the time the end of the year rolled around, when they figured it all out, it happened after the season. They was talking about them having to vacate the national championship because of this player. So I don't put nothing past the NCAA, man. You just never know. But that's an NCAA problem. I don't see why they would have to rule any team ineligible, especially if they have an injunction saying that the kid can play and then they turn around and say he's actually ineligible. You see what I'm saying? So I don't
Mhm.
know, man. But Indiana went through that whole situation last year with the dude that applied for a 7th year, and he was their starting safety. Or so I can't think of his name, but you can see anything in the NCAA. Literally, they have no control over their sport.
Yeah, I think the fact that the president of the United States and Congress is getting involved, I think we're going to see stricter situations moving forward, though. But let me add this, fellas. Your your boy Brandon Sorsby, I really, and as more information trickles, of course, I'll adjust my opinion. But that kid really had an issue. That dude was making 25 cent, 50 cent, 75 cent bets. Like like you would think when you first heard the news, this dude was making 500,000. No, he was making like quarter bets, like frequently. So I really believe he has an issue.
Yeah, I really just hope that the NCAA can find a way to work themselves back into controlling college athletics. I think they're off to a pretty good start in trying to get their teeth back in, even though they're going to be dentures. I like the fact that they're at least trying to get some control over college athletics, man, because it's really been a mess. But they had an opportunity to get ahead of it years ago, and they didn't. So now they finding themselves behind the 8 ball. But I think eventually they're going to get it worked out. I don't think they're going to do anything to any of those players who are playing and got an injunction to play this year. But going forward, I don't think anybody else is going to be able to get that off. I think they're going to shut that down. But this year, players like Trinidad Chambliss, and I think there's another one maybe at another school that's going to get to play. It might be Michigan State, possibly. But the ones that they ruled on and gave us a 6 year, of course, those guys are going to be okay.
Hey Rob,
What do you? Yeah.
hey, post game just made me feel like I'm a gambling addict. You remember I was showing you them 25 cent tickets, man.
Yeah, yeah. I wasn't gonna mention that though.
I'm good though, man. I'm good. Hey, I don't gamble no more than $10 a week, y'all. I'm good. I'm all right.
Yeah. What do y'all think about SEC Sean's? Uh, he's asking a question right here. Did we see the starting quarterback from Minnesota was arrested for using a fake ID and underage drinking? How do you think a situation like this should be handled by the NCAA when something like this happens? Or is this something for the university just to deal with?
Yeah, to me, it got to be a university thing. I mean, the NCAA has governing rules, but at the end of the day, this is your player, Minnesota. This is your player making this decision, making this bad decision to do what he did, fake underage drinking. I can't allow that at my university. I don't know about kicking him out or suspending him for the season, but I definitely think he needs to be punished for that and maybe even get to some alcohol program. If it's that serious, you need to do all that just to have a drink. Then he probably needs some help.
Yeah, I agree. This a university matter. Nobody. Well, I don't know the story, but if nobody got hurt, um, then I feel like he didn't go to the point where it ain't no coming back from. And I'm in agreement with post game. He need to get some help. Why is you getting a fake ID? Why you couldn't just get one of the older teammates? I mean, I get it. We in college. College. You want a lot of students want to have a good time. It's a lot of underage drinking in college. I've been there. I've done that, so I understand that part of it. But like if you gonna do that, you do that in the dorm. You have one of your older guys go get you some. You do it in a safe environment, man. That's the only thing I think. But it is a lot of underage drinking in college. It is what it is. There's no way around that. But when you go into the links of getting fake IDs and stuff, it probably wasn't even a fake ID. It's probably one of his partner's IDs, and he was like, I look enough like you, bro. I could pass with this because I done did that before, man. So I understand, but yeah, I don't know. He ain't doing that right. And you the quarterback, you supposed to be smart, bro. That was dumb. That was not smart.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. You just there's just something you can't do because when you're playing college athletics, you're gonna already be up under the microscope, so you don't want to take that chance. And I know that last year when Nick Brooks he was in a spot that he had no business being in, and Texas, of course, put him in the doghouse, and he got uh, cut his playing time because we expected him to be a player who played a lot. He eventually started playing later on in the season, but he could have been getting a lot of valuable reps earlier in the season had he not, got caught in that situation before the season had started. What do y'all think about what scenario needs to happen for Jeremiah Smith to be the number one pick next year in next year's NFL draft if he decides to come out after his junior season?
Yeah, man. I believe Jeremiah Smith will be the top player on the board, but that doesn't necessarily mean he'll be the first player drafted. You see, uh, think about it. Mel Kiper had Jeremiah Love as the top player on the board, but went third overall. So just because you're the top player on the board doesn't mean you're going to go first overall. But I mean, it all depends on what the priority of the team picking in those first few picks are. If they need a quarterback, of course they're going to take a quarterback. Uh, let's just say if a team like Tennessee, Rob, if your team ends up with a top 2 or 3 pick in next year's NFL draft, they very well can pick a Jeremiah Smith. I don't think he gets out of the first 2 or 3 picks because he's just that good of a football player. He's been ready for the NFL, but it all depends on who's picking and who's picking where. If you need a quarterback badly, you're probably going to pass on a wide receiver like that. But if you good at quarterback, if you got your young franchise quarterback in place, and you just building your team up, Jeremiah Smith is going just gonna come off the board quick as I don't know what. So definitely he'll definitely be in that top 3 conversation, if not first.
My early theory is I gotta see and wait to see if Arch Manning declares for the draft. If Manning is on the board, I don't think nobody's gonna pass up on a Manning as the number one pick. If he's not, which I think is very possible, he could go back to school again and continue his development. I think Jeremiah Smith will have a chance. Because when we looking at the board, we looking at Dante Moore, we looking at a Lenore Sellers, maybe a Sam Levitt might be up there somewhere. It's a multitude of different quarterbacks. Julian saying, um, and I just think if you the right team, especially like if you like the Raiders and you just drafted a quarterback, if the Raiders are terrible again and they are up there somewhere in that 1 or 2 area, maybe they can get right there at number one. Yeah, what that's the last thing they need for real, honestly, for me to complete their offense. If Mendoza look promising, you got the tight end, you got the running back. Now you gotta get the receiver. Um, and even like other teams though, like the Jets, I could see the Jets going quarterback. Uh, but like all the other teams, I could see them going quarterback off rip. Like, and it just depends on what the attrition look like in that first round with that first round talent of the quarterbacks though. Because if it's like three or four guys there, it's about 5 or 6 teams that I can identify that need a quarterback for real long term situation. But it's hard. I see Calvin Johnson and then I see Jeremiah Smith as far as NFL prospects coming out of college. It's gonna be hard to pass up on him, bro.
Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, I think that if the right team is right there, they're going to pick him at number one, especially if they already got their quarterback. I definitely believe he's the first one coming off of the board, and I think there's going to possibly be a scenario like that where there's going to be a team who has already gotten a quarterback maybe in the past 2 or 3 years who is not really good, but their quarterback has been showing promise, and they'll pick Jeremiah Smith number one. There's going to be some teams that pick next year in next year's NFL draft that are going to have some really, really tough decisions. And my next question, and I'm going to get to your question that you have as well, Mick Swagger 4K, after we get done with these last two questions on college football. Who are your top five players on the big board if they decide to come out? Who are your top five guys on your big board going into next year's NFL draft?
I'm going to say Jeremiah Smith, Arch Manning, Colin Simmons, CJ Carr, and Leonard Moore.
Is it in that order?
No particular order. That's just my top five.
Yeah, my top five heading into the year, I'll go Jeremiah Smith, Arch Manning. I like Colin Simmons too. I probably say Cam Coleman, and then I say Dante Moore. Yeah, Dante Moore.
Okay. Is it in that order?
It's in that order.
In that order. Yeah. Well, my order would be Jeremiah Smith number one. I'm going Dante Moore number two. I'm going Leonard Moore number three. I'm going Arch Manning four, and I'm going Colin Simmons number five. Is there somebody outside of those names that you picked that you feel like could possibly get into that, can possibly be your top five if they have a phenomenal season? What's one of your outlier guys or honorable mention kind of guys?
Dante Moore for me. I know y'all mentioned Dante Moore. I didn't have him in my top five. If we get an Arch Manning and CJ Carr in this draft, I think their upside is a little better. SEC Sean just mentioned Chambliss. I think that's a guy who can really improve his draft stock. But Leonard Moore for sure is locked into my top five. That dude is a long, rangy, shutdown corner with elite speed, elite size, everything. He's definitely going to be a top five pick. But if I can say somebody that just didn't make my list, it'd be Dante Moore.
Yeah,
What about you?
it's a lot of players out there. I might go with how you say his name? USC's quarterback,
Oh, okay.
Mayave. Yeah, I would say he got a shot to play himself into a high draft pick.
Yeah.
What
I'm
about
on. I'm on. Oh, go ahead.
Dylan Stewart? Oh, somebody got some feedback. Is that who was that? Oh, okay, good. But I would say the pass rusher from South Carolina, Dylan Stewart. Again, SEC Sean brought up Lagway. If Lagway is able to put up those brutal quarterback numbers that we like to see in the Big 12, then I think he can play his way up in there as well.
Yeah, I want to mention that I can't even remember this offensive tackle's name, the one who transferred from Colorado to LSU. I think he has a chance. What's his name? Y'all know his name, by the way? I know his last name starts with an S, I believe.
Yeah, that's Jordan Seaton.
Jordan
That's a
Seaton, yeah.
yeah, he might be the top tackle coming out. Yeah, so he got to be up there too.
Yeah, if he has the kind of season that we expected him to have these first two seasons at Colorado, I think he could possibly make his way into that top five. But I like everybody that was mentioned too. I like Chambliss. I like Lagway. I don't think they're going to make it into the top five because we just named some really good players that are in our top five. Man, I don't think they quite get there, but I can definitely
Hey,
see them in the top 15.
we forgot about the ultra gunslinger though, man. Darian Mensah. Darian Mensah might
Yeah.
be the best quarterback prospect for real to come out for real.
Yeah, it's very very possible. It's very very possible. I'm trying to find that question from. Okay, there you go. Mick Swagger, 4K. He says, should all leagues prioritize players' well-being more, or is it only so much they can do?
Man, listen, I think, especially in the NFL, I think they could, if you make it to the NFL and have a long career, even if you make it to the NFL, they should take care of you. Period. It's only so many people who get to make it to that level of competition. And these players make y'all millions and billions and trillions of dollars. It's not gonna hurt y'all none to make sure they 100% straight for the duration of their career and after they get done playing. So that's a great statement, and I agree with that. I absolutely think they should take any league should take care of their players.
Yeah, we already know the NFL's bad. You playing a violent sports, and after your last game, you got 5 years of health care. That's absolutely unacceptable. What's the quarterback that came back last year? The old cat,
Now Rivers.
right? Rivers. Rivers' wife made him take that contract. She was like, "You better go get that insurance, bruh. Oh, you know what I mean? You go get that insurance. We got 5 more years." So I know for sure, definitely the NBA. Now that I mean the NFL, but the NBA, I think the NBA does a solid job, man. You know they got the account where they put the money into the pension. That's why Sebastian Telfair went to jail because he did some fraud stuff and went into the pension and took the money out. But it's supposed to be for after you turn a certain age, you get that money, and he wasn't supposed to touch that money. I don't know how they was able to even get into the account to touch the money, but I think the NBA does a solid job. I ain't got too much information about baseball, the MLB and NHL, and even the WNBA, but just from NFL NBA standpoint, the NFL definitely be slacking on that, bro.
Well, real quick, Rob, if you don't mind, it's a player that wasn't mentioned that I know a lot of us was high on last year. Nobody think Lenore Sellers can play his way up in there?
I mean, I think he has all the physical tools to be able to do so. I just don't know if he has the team around him to be able to make that happen. But he's definitely a talent, and I think that you'll probably have, and like I said a couple of times on a couple of different shows, the last 2 or 3 years, the NFL draft has, especially in the first maybe 3 rounds, have had some really freaking talented college football players, man. And I think that you got a lot of NFL teams out there who probably recognize Lenore Seller's skill set and his talent and probably would love to have him fall to them in the second and third, possibly even the fourth round. So I think he could do that. But I'm quite sure because there's so many talented football players coming out in these last few drafts, and especially this one coming up, they would love to see a Lenore Sellers probably not have as good a season so that he can fall down there so they can get him later on at a much better price. Um, but man, I think he could really do it if the players step up for him like they need to, and they can have a really good season. I think he could play his way up into definitely this early second round.
Yeah, I don't know because I'm a big tape guy. I just think when you had a year of bad tape like he did this year, yeah, he gonna have by the time it's all said and done, he gonna have 3 years of film on him. But like, would you think his film over the 3 year stretch is gonna be better than Dante Moore or Arch Manning or even Julian Sand? I mean I think he might, if he have a solid year, he gonna go in the first round, maybe second round at the latest. But I don't see no way. Even Trinidad Chambers, if Chambers ball out how he was balling out, I don't see no reason why program would probably take him over them. Just because he's just not a refined enough passer for me. I'd be scared of guys like him. You know what I mean? Like the mechanics is a little sloppy at times. I rather if I'm going to draft an athlete, I'd rather have somebody like Arch Manning or even Dante Moore. They're not as athletic as Lenore Sellers, but I just like their passing capability way more than I like Lenore Sellers. You want an athlete at quarterback. Even Trinidad remind me of a young Russell Wilson. So like, I don't know. I just think he got enough film on him for real where he's still gonna be a work in progress. He's not a day one guy. You're gonna have to put resources in to growing him.
Yeah, 100%. But I will say, fellas, if he gets to that NFL combine and puts up crazy numbers, similar to what Anthony Richardson did, somebody could fall in love with him and take him in the first. I wouldn't take him over those guys that were mentioned, but definitely somebody can trade into that first round and take it if he puts up mind blowing numbers. You know, the NFL love doing that.
Yeah. SEC Sean said that there's a sleeper quarterback to watch for next season, and that's Kamario Taylor from Mississippi State. We got to see him in that bowl game, and he really is nice. Is there some other quarterbacks out there? Because we're talking about all these guys who are going to be juniors. Is there anybody that we know is going to be playing in their first season at quarterback that might be a sleeper this season that might be taking a back seat to those big name guys that we just named here earlier? I'll tell you one off the top of my head. The guy that came in and played quarterback for Arkansas when Taylor Green went out against Texas, that Jackson kid, he was nice, man. I'm kind of scared of him. I think we play them again this year. I think we're gonna play them every year, since that's one of those rivals. But he came in, and once he settled down after that first drive, he really did some things. Now, of course, Texas was playing some really, really vanilla defense at that time, but he was able to make some throws and use his legs against Texas. So I really like that Arkansas quarterback. He'll be the starter this year, or projected to be the starter. I got him as my sleeper.
I would say one guy who I got a lot of insight on that I would tell anybody to keep their eye on is Kenny Minchie at Kentucky. Kenny Minchie is a dude. A lot of people expecting him to beat CJ Carr in that quarterback competition. And then let me tell y'all this: Jadarian Price was asked at the NFL draft, right? Why did y'all quarterback competition take so long? Why did it take so long? Jadarian Price simply said, because Kenny Minchie is that dude. I expect Kenny Minchie to have a good year, and I think he's being slept on.
Yeah, my guy is gonna be Christopher Benzina. He's a guy that I seen, one game out of him, and I was like, maybe we don't know his name, but maybe Clemson did have another quarterback on the roster. And Dabo, he's pro. He's like a coach's player because he a loyal guy. He don't want to go to the portal and get nothing. He done hit the portal recently, but he still don't like going into the portal unless he absolutely have to. So I think Christopher Benzina for Clemson, I think he gonna have a good year.
Yeah. SEC Sean also said Keelan Russell at Alabama is going to be another one that he thinks is going to be tough. Let me ask y'all this: out of the teams that y'all going to play this next season and the quarterbacks that y'all got in y'all's league, of course we know that Notre Dame is independent, but the teams that they're going to play and the teams that are in some of these, the quarterbacks that are in some of these leagues, how is that the first thing you look at when you say, "Oh man, my team is playing this team"? Is the quarterback position the first position you look at in terms of whether or not you think y'all can win that game or not?
I mean, the first I'll probably look at the starting quarterback, but I'm a guy who like to look at all aspects when when it comes to the opponent we facing. It's normally quarterback, defense, and then I'm looking at the defense, seeing who their playmakers are, seeing where their weaknesses are, seeing where we can take advantage of some things at an offensive line, of course.
Yeah, college football is a little different for me than NFL in the aspect of when I look at NFL, I be like, all right, especially when we talk about divisions, you be like, all right, who got the best quarterback? Typically, whoever got the better quarterback in the NFL, typically you expect that team to probably have a better chance to win. I think college football is a little more. It got a little more different dynamic because you could take a guy like, for instance, Rocco Beck. We don't think he's the most talented dude, but we know he a dog, and we know the team gonna get behind him. So I wouldn't say that it's quarterback for me. It's really a case by case basis. Like if you was just to mention throw a team out there of what I'm gonna think about first. Like you might say Michigan. The first thing I'm gonna think about is the trenches. What dudes they got in the trenches? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I don't instantly go to quarterback though in college.
Yeah, well, for me, that's the first thing I'm looking at. What can their quarterback do to cause issues for my defense? And I'm looking at that first. And I think this year Texas is playing some really, really talented quarterbacks. And they played some really talented quarterbacks last year. And I really like what Will Muschamp is doing this year with that defense as compared to what PK's style of play is. But man, I'm still concerned about some of them quarterbacks that we're going to face this year, and it's going to be a tough road for Texas, especially if they're in some close games down the stretch, and you got a quarterback that can do something with their legs and with their arm. So I'm definitely looking at that first and foremost. Anything else y'all want to add before we wrap up? We're right coming up on 1 hour. Anything else y'all want to talk about before we get up out of here?
No, I didn't have anything in particular, man. But shout out to y'all. It's always a great show when we get together. So appreciate it.
Yeah, I ain't got nothing to add, man. Hey, it's starting to warm up a little bit out here now, though. I'm about to go walk around the event now.
Yeah. Cool, cool, cool. Well, let's get one last shout out to KT's Good Eats, our sponsor. They're out there today with their food truck out at Witten's Farm, 3341 Winchester Pike. Go check them out. They got some really, really good food that you'll love. They got some slamming sides. I think they're going to have their pulled pork sandwiches and some other stuff. Go out there and check them out. I probably shouldn't have said the pulled pork because I'm not a pork fan. But anyway, go check out my man Kevin Bird and his wife at their food truck. They got some really, really, really good food. And also, while you're there, go check out Witten's Farms Market. They got a market there where they got baked goods, they got drinks, they got all kinds of stuff. So go check out both of those places. You get a twofer for one. If you go by there today, go check them out. All right, y'all, have a good rest of y'all Saturday. We appreciate everybody for tuning in. Make sure that when you go rewatch this, check out all of our channels, subscribing across the bottom. We all have our own individual channels that we want you to support as well. So go check us out there. And also go to our website at WTPSportsDudes.com and check us out on Spotify and on Patreon at WTP Sports Dudes 2026. All right, y'all, enjoy the rest of y'all Saturday. And as usual, we are out. Peace.